Hello again, guys. Welcome back to 5IP. We'll start today's session with a question, a very simple question. Who invented the aeroplane and in which year did they invent it? Simple question. Most of us would have said the Wright brothers invented the aeroplane in the year 1903. That's what we would have said because that is what we have studied in our science textbooks in school. A year or so after the Wright brothers' invention, one of the popular newspapers, the Paris Herald, it carried the headlines, "Are the Wright brothers flyers or liars?" Why was it? It was because there were people who had flown their aircraft before the Wright brothers. Like in the year 1901, there was a person by name, he was a Brazilian, a person by name Alberto Dumont. He was supposed to have flown his aircraft around the Eiffel Tower, twice around the Eiffel Tower. And in the same year, another person was from Germany. He had emigrated to the United States. His name was Gustav Whitehead. He was also supposed to have flown his aircraft quite a few times in the year 1901. And there was a third gentleman by name Shivkar Talpade. He was from India. In the year 1895, 8 years before the Wright brothers, he built his unmanned aircraft and he named it the Marutsaka, which means friend of the winds. Marutsaka. What a beautiful name, right? And he flew his aircraft in the Chowpatty beach in Bombay. So there have been 3 people who we have sources that say flew their aircraft before the Wright brothers. Yet we still read or study in our textbooks that Wright brothers were the ones who invented the aeroplane. Why is that? One strong reason is they were the first ones to patent the technology. That's a strong reason, right? And then they made a record, created a record. See, when they flew their aircraft, their aeroplane, they called the press, they called the photographers, they called people, they were witnesses, and they made sure it was published in the newspapers. So a record is created. See, anything that happens, an event happens, a discovery is made, invention is made, a war happens, whatever it is, right? It has to be recorded. That's the only way future generations will come to know about it. That's the only proof, right? When something is not recorded, there is no proof. So this is the reason, I think, why we still read that the Wright brothers are the ones who invented the aeroplane. In the case of Shivkar Talpade, also it was recorded. It was recorded in a Marathi magazine by name Kesari. But at that time, when this happened in the year 1895, around that time, India was under the rule of Britishers. We were slaves then to them, right? So they are not going to encourage an Indian who makes an invention. They're not even going to acknowledge it. So all the records were destroyed or whatever for obvious reasons. When there's no proper proof or when the proof is destroyed, history is pretty much open to manipulation. It is sad, but it's true. It's open to manipulation. So I guess we may never know the correct answer to who invented the aeroplanes. That's the first point. The second point I want to share with you guys is that in ancient India, there were aeroplanes. They were called radhas or vimanas. Okay? We've read the Ramayana, which says when King Ravana kidnapped Sita and went to Sri Lanka, he went in his Pushpaka Vimana. And in the Mahabharata, it says when King Salva attacks Dwaraka, when he attacks Dwaraka, it says that he attacks from his Vimana called the Shauba. And other thing is there's a strong ancient Hindu scripture, Indian scripture known as Shastra. Okay, it was authored by Chanakya, who's also more popularly known as, Kautilya, popularly known as Chanakya. Okay, this Shastra talks about a lot of things. It talks about economics, politics, It talks about the duties of a king. It talks about crime, civil court, criminal court. It talks about different punishments for different crimes. It talks about wildlife, preserving wildlife. It talks about the human body, diseases, medicines, many things. One of the things it talks about is war strategies. And in that section, it talks about a flying machine called Hasti Yantra. In the battlefield, when the battle is going on, we have to fly this Hasti Yantra over the enemy's army. This Hasti Yantra is supposed to create a sound in a particular frequency which will scare away all the enemy elephants. So if the elephants get scared, they are going to run away and trample all their soldiers, right? This was one of the war strategies mentioned in Arthashastra. A flying machine is mentioned there, Hasti Yantra. Even if someone were to discredit all of this, we have the Rig Veda. The Rig Veda is the oldest text since human civilization, and the whole world believes it, accepts it. There are mention of a few things in Rig Veda. One is mention of a vehicle by name Jalayan. That's a vehicle which can travel in water and in air, Jalayan. It mentions Trichakra Radha, an aeroplane with 3 chakras, 3 wheels. It talks about Vayu Radha, which is an aeroplane that's fueled by gas. Vidyut Ratha, that's another aeroplane which is fueled by power, which flies by power. It mentions this. So we know that in ancient India there were aeroplanes. That is the second point. Now, the third point is when we start researching or studying more about aeroplanes in ancient India, we will come across a very valuable treatise, ancient treatise scripture known as Vaimanika Shastra. Vaimanika Shastra means the science of aeronautics. That's what it translates to. So we'll see a few things that this Vaimanika Shastra talks about. It talks about different atmospheric regions with cold current, regions with high solar rays, and different regions, 5 regions I think. They are named as Kendrapata, Kakshayapata, Shaktipata, Rekapata, Mandalapata. 5 regions are mentioned in Vaimanika Shastra, atmospheric regions. Then it talks about the materials with which you should build the body of an aeroplane so that it cannot be destructed. Then it talks about the attire the pilots need to wear, the food they need to eat in order to travel in different climates. It talks about that. It talks about important parts of an aeroplane which the pilot needs to be aware of. And it talks about 32 secrets which a pilot has to know to fly his aeroplane, his Vimana, effectively. Okay? It says there are parts in an aeroplane that can be contracted and expanded. Then it talks about, it actually says, when the pilot is sitting inside his Vimana, there are ways by which he can hear what the enemies are talking inside their Vimana. There's a way to listen to that. It says that. And one of the secrets says, when a Vimana is flying, it can be made to fly in zigzag motion. And it also says, in mid-air, a Vimana can be made to be motionless. Probably something like a hummingbird hovering over a flower. That's what I think. And one thing that I found very interesting was, there is a way, when the Vimana is flying in mid-air, there's a way to make that Vimana invisible, the complete Vimana invisible. It says that. It kind of sounds impossible or more like magic, right? But see, a magic will remain a magic only until it cannot be recreated. Once a magic can be recreated, it becomes a science invention. So hopefully all these 32 secrets will become a science invention one day. We don't know. Anyway, that's the third point. The fourth point, this is interesting. See, we believe, in Hinduism, we believe that creation happens in cycles. Creation starts, goes through a cycle and then it ends. When it ends, everything is destroyed. Creation keeps happening, and at the end of the creation, whatever was there is completely destroyed, and then the next cycle of creation starts. So creation always happens in cycles. Okay? And in each cycle, in Hinduism, it says there are 4 yugas. A yuga is a long period of time, an epoch, an eon, an era. It's a long period of time. That's known as a yuga. The first one is the Satya Yuga. The second is the Treta Yuga. Third is the Dwapara Yuga. And fourth is the Kali Yuga. Now, in the Satya Yuga, which was supposed to be the perfect yuga, there's only goodness. There's nothing bad. There is no evil. There is no bad will, or everybody is good. Everybody is good. There are no diseases. People live for a very long time. They don't have any evil desires or nothing. That is a time when people were very much in sync with nature or with God. That is a yuga when God was actually walking in the world along with us human beings. It's a perfect yuga. In that yuga, we human beings also possessed certain powers. Okay? In the first yuga, Satya Yuga. In that yuga, when people had to go to a place, a faraway place, they did not need a vehicle. They did not need vimanas at all. All they had to do was focus, use their power to focus, use their mind. It's called the Ashtasiddhis. They had to focus, and they could transport themselves to wherever they want to go. That's in the first yuga, Satya Yuga. Okay? In the second yuga, which is the Treta Yuga, they needed vimanas for transport. Those vimanas were known as mantrika vimanas, which means the vimanas are powered by mantras. What are mantras? Mantras are chanting, right? Those are known as mantras, chanting certain syllables. The chant of certain syllables at certain time of the day in a certain frequency, it creates sound waves, sound energy. That energy is what fuels the vimanas to fly. Okay, it's interesting, right? In the second yuga, the Treta Yuga, mantrika vimanas are used. This is a yuga where it's 25% polluted by evil, only 75% is good. In the third yuga, which is known as the Dwapara Yuga, it's 50% goodness and 50% evil. In this yuga, the vimanas that were used were known as tantrika vimanas, which means the vimanas were fueled by tantras. Tantras are actually rituals, and whatever can be used, whatever has to be used is used. It can be chemicals, minerals, ores, anything, animal products, plant products, different products are used. Most of the tantras are a combination of these rituals and mantras, the chant, right? So the power that is created from these rituals and the mantras being chanted, that is what is used to fuel the vimanas in the third yuga, Dwapara Yuga. Okay? And in the fourth yuga, Kali Yuga, we are in the Kali Yuga present. The vimanas that we use are powered by engine. After this Kali Yuga is over, everything is going to get destroyed. We don't know how the next cycle of creation is going to be, but we can always go back and see what happened in the previous yugas. We'll see about that in a different video. This is the fourth point. Now, the last point, fifth point, is a very simple point, but I don't know about the authenticity of this. I've seen this in quite a few websites actually. When was this? Not too long ago, about I think 10 or 11 years back, I think. It's 2022, so probably in 2010, 11, whenever. In the Afghan caves, they said that a Vimana was actually found there, which belonged to ancient India. A Vimana was found there, and they tried to retrieve the Vimana, but they could not, because it seemed to be there seemed to be a shield around it. That's what they said. That's what the sources said, quite a few sources. Now, this news did not make headlines in television channels or in the newspaper. It could have been because nothing like this happened, or it could also be that the governments do not want to reveal it for obvious reasons. We don't know. But it said that when the soldiers tried to retrieve the Vimana, they could not, as I said, some field was actually protecting it. And in the process of trying to get it out, about a few 8 soldiers died in the process. That's what the news said. This is the 5th point, and we are done with this session. There is no question here, because I'm sure you have enough things to go and think about, ponder about, research about. You'll first want to go see if the Wright brothers were the ones who actually invented the aeroplane. You'll want to go see about the Vaimanika Shastra, what the 32 secrets are. Then you will want to see about the yugas, right? What happened in the previous Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, Satya Yuga, what happened? You will want to see that, right? And you'll want to research about this aeroplane in the Afghan caves. So there's no question time here. And again, whatever you research on, whatever you find, please do share it here with us. We are like-minded people. These are our interests. So all of us viewing this and reading the comments will benefit from it. All right? Thank you. And you guys take care. Bye.